Thanks. This is part of the ongoing MTAC Seminar series, and today we'll be talking about the Great Barrier Reef Report Card and how we use that to track agricultural inputs to the Great Barrier Reef Lagoon. My name is Heath Kelsey, and I'll be presenting the report card discussion today, but also have lots of other co-authors as well. I need to acknowledge them, especially the folks in Australia that put the effort and funding behind the report card. We'll talk first about the Great Barrier Reef in general. I'm sure most of you know about the Great Barrier Reef, but we'll also talk about the Paddock Reef program, which is a water quality protection program designed to protect the resource of the reef, how we report the concepts and metrics for the report card, and then the report card itself, how we deliver that message. The Great Barrier Reef is it's a World Heritage Area. Most people know about it or of it, about where it is, but it's very big. It's 2,300 kilometers long. Lots of great habitats, 2,900 separate reef systems, and also great habitat for seagrass meadows and mangroves and other things as well. So any way you look at it, it's a great natural resource, and very importantly, it also contributes about $6 billion annually to the Australian economy. So any way you look at it, it's a resource that the Australians would really like to preserve. Threats to the reef are the usual suspects like climate change and coastal development, etc., and point source diffusion or pollution as well. The purpose of the report card is to focus on non-point source pollution from agricultural sources. So that's the point of the report card. And the idea here is also that because of one of the most important threats that is recognized to the Great Barrier Reef is from climate change, and the Australian and Queensland state governments recognize that they can't do very much about that locally, but they can do things to help hopefully improve the resilience of the reef. So if they can reduce agricultural stresses from agricultural pollution, hopefully that will increase the resilience of the reef a little bit in the face of climate change. One thing I forgot to mention, the Great Barrier Reef is, the Marine Park Authority is divided up into 6 separate sections. So we have these Cape York, Wet Tropics, Burdekin, Mackay, Sunday, Fitzroy, and Burnett Mary parts to the park. Those are different regions within the park. And we report on those separately, and then we'll also wrap those up in an overall score for the Great Barrier Reef. And on this slide, I wanted to recognize that this brown area, this brown land use area, is all grazing. So grazing is the predominant land use in most of the catchments or watersheds in the area. And near the coast, especially where you have high rainfall, we also have a lot of sugarcane and other crops being developed too. In the far north, we have a lot of protected areas, a lot of forest and tropical parks that are highly protected. And the far north region is far less used as well, very few people there. The Paddock to Reef program is a program to protect water quality entering the reef lagoon. So it's that area between the coast and the reef proper, the outer reef. Agricultural enterprises are producing pesticide and sediment and nutrient pollution that go into that reef lagoon, and the Paddock to Reef program was designed to help curb some of those inputs to the lagoon. The targets for the Paddock to Reef program in 2013 are to improve agricultural practices mostly, and we want to have 80% of the agricultural folks using improved practices, and we'll talk about what those are in a minute, and 50% for the grazing industry. And there's an element of realism there as well. This is so much grazing. And we'll talk about what those practices are in a second. And also minimum 50% late dry season ground cover, and no net loss of wetlands, and reverse that decline in water quality as well. By 2020, we want to have a 20% reduction in total suspended solids entering the reef lagoon, and also an added step, the water quality entering that lagoon we will not just halt at the decline, but that water entering the lagoon will not have any negative impacts on the reef ecosystem. Excuse me. When we talk about the land management practice adoption metrics. These are the metrics for the agricultural folks to move to better management practices. They've developed an ABCD framework. So A's and B's are better practices. B is the current best management practices. A is a little bit more research oriented, a little more cutting edge, needs a little bit more research. C is the common practice that's barely acceptable, but people should be moved to better management practices. And D are unacceptable practices under current standards. They're not adequately protecting water quality. And there are different parts to this as well, but we want to move, in general, people from the C and D categories to the A's and B's. So when we say we want 80% of the folks to be in the better management practices, we want 80% of the folks in the A and B category. We measure that with an industry self-reporting mechanism right now. So it's industry reported, self-reporting, but it's also overseen by an independent management agency too. So currently, better management practices are practiced by 20% of the sugarcane growers, so we have quite a bit of room to improve there. 62% of the horticultural producers and 50% of the grazers too. And remember, the 50% was our target for the grazing industry, and that's a big sector of land use in the Great Barrier Reef catchments. That's going to be revisited a little bit. It's probably not going to stay at 50%. That's based on very limited data, so it's probably going to change. That'll be revisited next year. Catchment loads are based on, these numbers are based on validated models, so it's a combination of modeled loads and measured loads as well. Total nitrogen and or nitrogen and phosphorus, and you can see this hashed area here is the modeled load had there been no European involvement, so it's pretty European, quote-unquote natural load, and these white bars represent the targets. So at the baseline, here we are, 80,000 tons per year of total nitrogen entering the Reef Lagoon by models, and we want to reduce that by 50%. Similarly for sediments, the goal is 20% reduction, and that's here's the current and the modeled pre-European load as well. And pesticides obviously has no pre-European modeled load, no natural load of pesticide, and there's the reduction for that. So in the coming years, hopefully we'll be able to show where we were and track progress in reducing these loads. It's going to be a little bit difficult because of the way loading estimates are done and how different years are based on rainfall and flood events, but that's the plan. We next look at the marine water quality, seagrass and coral quality. So we look at the overall marine ecosystem quality, and we've developed a method to track both seagrass, coral, and water quality using separate metrics that go into a seagrass index and water quality index and a coral index. So for seagrass, we have a reproduction, abundance, and nutrient status metrics, and those are wrapped up into an overall seagrass score. Similarly for coral, we have coral cover, algae, juvenile index, and settlement index, and those are wrapped up in overall coral index. Water quality, so far we have chlorophyll A and total suspended solids. Pesticides is something we're working on trying to get it put in there as well. We don't have great ways to measure pesticide concentrations at such a large scale, so we're still working on that one. And hopefully that one's going to be included in the water quality index in coming years. So how do we present this? This is a trifold, kind of like the Chesapeake Bay report card and the Coastal Bays report card is presented as a three-page thing. It's a bit larger. It's A4 size, which is roughly equivalent to the 8.5 by 11 size. And this is the front, this is the back, and this is the inside flap. So the first thing you see when you open it on the right side is this map. Provides some context where the sampling sites are and things, and then the key findings are on the back. And on the middle, the trifold that opens up, we present a whole lot of information, we think in a very succinct way. We look at the land practice results for the different agricultural enterprises. We have the catchment results, including the wetlands, riparian, and ground cover scores, the loading scores, and then the marine scores as well. So it's a neat framework because it's the first time we've really been able to track and report on things from a management side, a management indicator, through to the watershed and loads, and then quality of the downstream water quality. So we think this is a really neat approach, and one we'd like to emulate in other places. It's going to take us a little while, I think, to get there, but we like that approach. Also, some more contextual information for the report card, the land use information, and also the rainfall information, where rainfall was in the past year as well. I mentioned that we prepared the overall report card from the 6 regional scores, or 6 regional metrics as well. So we did those same metrics, same measurements for each one of the individual subregions of the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park and the watersheds associated with them. And so this one is for the Cape York. Those are meant to be inserts to the trifold, so they're one page front back. And that's, when you open it up, that's what you'd see. So you'd see the same kind of information, the same kind of contextual information, the conceptual diagram that is specific to that particular region, what the processes and inputs and things are that are specific to that catchment or watershed, and then the same results for land practice, catchment results, and marine results as well. And so it's a nice system to have the overall results, and then you can go dig in and find the individual results for particular regions as well. The key findings, again, unacceptable management practices by 34% of sugarcane growers and 24% of horticultural enterprises and 50% of the grazers. And remember, that's our goal. But that's based on probably data that's not quite adequate. It's based on a couple of regions, and that's probably going to change. Total watershed loads are 5 to 9 times higher than natural for suspended solids, nitrogen, and phosphorus, and about 28,000 kilograms of pesticides enter the Reef Lagoon annually, as estimated by the models. Overall, the Great Barrier Reef quality was moderate condition, but it's highly variable. If you look at the individual regional results, some of them are much better than some of the other ones. So they kind of average out to be a moderate condition, but some of them are much worse off than other ones. To acknowledge the folks that were a part of this project, we were actually just a small part of this project. We worked directly with reef catchments and the Queensland government to pull this together, but there are a lot of data providers, a lot of people put effort into bringing all the information and all the folks together to bring this report card together and make it a reality. You can get to the report card by looking at these 2 URLs, either the Ian Press URL or the go directly to the Queensland government, and you can download it there, in addition to the reef plan and the water quality protection plan. And that's all. Well, thanks very much, and I'm taking questions now.